Did you know that your thoughts are creating the person that you're becoming every single day? What if those thoughts you're thinking are creating the life that you don't actually want? Not because life is happening to you, is becoming what you repeatedly feed it. But here's the good news. If your thoughts helped create the person that you are today, they can also help create the person that you want to become tomorrow. And here's the truth. People don't change because they wish that they want to. They change when they consistently change what they think, what they focus on, what they practice, and what they believe. Change doesn't happen because of one decision. It's built by the thoughts you rehearse every single day. Your brain believes what you repeatedly tell it. Most people are thinking that their thoughts are just happening to them. But instead, actually, you can control how you think. And here's the thing. You don't actually have to believe everything that you think. And there is a way to change the way that you think. And it's really, really not that difficult. First, you need to understand how thoughts are generated. The truth is that there's this cycle, and I love what Dr. Joe Dispenza says. I listened to him multiple times about this thought cycle where we wake up every day and we do the same thing. We drive to work the same way. We have all of these same experiences, and then we somehow secretly want our life to change, but we're not doing anything different. And what happens is you're having about 90,000 thoughts every single day, and 80% of them are the exact same thoughts that you had the day before. So how are you going to change if you're going to have the same exact repeated thoughts and behaviors that lead to the same experiences? Your life is like on this cycle where you have these thoughts and it drives your behavior, which creates your choices, which leads to your experiences. And your experiences are actually what drives your emotions. And your emotions are what are driving your thoughts. So you're on this cycle of doing and feeling and experiencing and all of this stuff. And then you think that those thoughts came out of nowhere. But the truth is that you wake up and you do the same thing you did yesterday and you feel sorry for yourself and you eat crappy and you feel like garbage. And then you start thinking about how terrible you are. And the cycle continues. At some point, you have to make a decision that you don't want to live this life anymore. And I was there. I remember sitting in my car and I was driving to the store after having an argument with one of my employees and thinking to myself that I didn't want to do this anymore. And I was miserable. And I was driving and thinking, and I decided to start saying what I was thinking in my mind out loud. I don't know what prompted me to do it, but I did. And as soon as I heard myself talking out loud, I thought to myself that, man, I am the biggest bully. And when you realize what a bully you are to yourself, you start thinking, man, I would never talk to anybody this way. Why do I talk to myself that way? So what I did was I decided to say what I was feeling and then rebuttal it. For instance, I would say something like, you're so stupid. And instead, I would rebuttal that and go, I'm not stupid. I'm still learning and I make mistakes and it's okay as long as I continue to grow and learn from it. Or I would say, everyone hates you. And I would rebuttal it with, everyone doesn't hate me. I am just making more out of this than I need to, and that it's okay. And at that moment, I started to realize that I actually don't have to believe everything that I think, and I can rewrite it. And it's called taking your thoughts captive and saying, you know what? No, I don't like that thought. I'm going to change it. You can ask yourself questions like, is this true? Is it helpful? Is it the person that I want to become? And if it's not, why are you accepting yourself and letting that be a part of who you are? And, it's true. We don't have to accept everything that we think. We can decide that we're going to shift it. And sometimes I get caught up and I'm feeling really anxious and I have to slow down. I have to take a moment and I have to find a way to calm that anxious nervousness and that anxious brain. And the best way to do that is through breathing. Breathing exercises have tremendously helped me. I actually have had hives for most of my life, and they usually come out in stressful situations. And interestingly, when my husband and I would talk money, you could see hives come out on my face or my neck. And that's how we figured out that it was probably from stress. That, and I also went to see a multitude of doctors who couldn't figure out what was wrong. But obviously there's something going on in my nervous system that would cause a stress reaction. Once I realized that it wasn't a allergic reaction or something else going on, and that it was a nervous system response, then I started to seek out ways to get myself to calm down. And one of the things that I've learned is a breathing exercise where you inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, and exhale for 8 seconds. And interestingly, I do 3 or 4 cycles of that and my hives go away. And so when you're stressed or angry or anxious, thinking about it and allowing that cycle of energy to go through your mind and the words that we say to ourselves just makes it worse. It makes our anxiety bigger because we get on this cycle of this craziness. But when you stop and you breathe and you take a moment and you calm yourself down, you stop reacting and you start choosing to be calm. And another thing that I do to help calm myself down is I will meditate on good things. Every day we're feeding ourselves all kinds of stuff that takes our energy away. Social media, the news, fear, failures, all of those things are draining our system. And so you have to be intentional and meditate on the things that are good, the things that are positive, and the things that are going to help you become the person that you want to be. They talk about manifesting through visualization. But I think it's just really allowing your brain to see the possibilities because what we fill our mind with is what we will see and what we will focus on. And that will be where our energy goes. And so focusing on positive things, focusing on things that are enlightening and building and encouraging, those are going to be things that are going to help you change the way that you think and change the way that you see the world and perspective shift. If you want to be a different person tomorrow, if you want to be a different person right now, it just takes a perspective shift. Just a quick, you know what? I see it differently now. I'm no longer going this way. I heard this story a long time ago. It was about a man that bought a brand new car and he was really proud of this expensive, beautiful car. And he's driving down the road with the windows open. It's a sunny day and he's enjoying his beautiful car. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a rock is thrown at the side of his car. And he quickly stops his car. He's angry. He's trying to find out who threw a rock at his car, his beautiful brand new car. What the heck? And he gets out of his car, storming and stomping and angry, looking for the person. And there's this small young boy on the side of the road. And he looks at the little boy angry, getting ready to yell at him. And the little boy says, "Thank God you stopped. I've tried to get cars to stop and no one would stop. My sister is hurt and she's in the ditch." Imagine in that moment, in that second, the anger that man felt. And then instantly he was calm and he moved from anger to he wanted to help. So we can change our perspectives. We can change the way that we feel. We can change who we are in an instant. All we need is a choice and we need to move in a different direction. I reprogram my brain on purpose. I'm intentional with the way that I program it. I start with the breathing to calm myself down. I meditate on things that are good to help me to get into the right frame of mind. But specifically, I focus on gratitude because in your brain, there's a section of your brain called the prefrontal cortex. And I've spoken about this before and I've heard it somewhere and I don't know who to give it credit to, but it is absolutely 100% true. It is where in your mind, there's some noise going on, right? There is something that is making noise and it's almost like a radio station. You're listening to the radio station and you have one of those old, AM, FM radios where you're turning the dial to listen to a station and you turn it one direction and you can hear kind of in one station and you turn it the other direction and you kind of hear another station, but you never hear both of them at the same time. And that's what's happening inside of your prefrontal cortex. Your brain can either be negative or it can be positive. It can't be both at the same time. So if you have anxiousness, anxiety, fear, all of those things going on, and you move that station to gratitude, and instead you focus on what am I grateful for? What are the good things that are happening right now? And what can I control? You focus on that and you're reprogramming your brain to instead focus on that and not the things that are negative or the things that give you fear or anxiety. And here's another one of my favorite habits. I don't know why, but I've done this since I was a little girl and it has always been incredibly effective and helpful for me. I would hear things that I wanted to change. Or I'd read something that was fascinating and impactful, and I wanted to somehow make it a part of my life. I write it down. When I met my husband, one of his favorite qualities about me was that in my house, everywhere you went, the mirror, the bedroom, the front door, the computer, there was a piece of paper that I had written the same statement over and over and over again in my apartment. And part of the reason I did it is because I knew I had a lack of self-confidence, and I knew that I was struggling with believing in my abilities and myself. And I wanted to change that. And so I wrote something along the lines of, I'm beautiful, strong, and capable. And I wrote it everywhere because I was reprogramming my brain. And if you ever think about how the news will repeat something over and over and over again until everyone in society believes it or they become fearful or whatever, they're doing the same thing. They're programming you to believe something. And if they say it enough times, eventually you believe it. Well, your brain is the same way. If you say it enough times, your brain will eventually believe it. And at the time, I knew that I could overcome, and I just needed to tell myself that I was going to so that I kept on going. And eventually, the interesting thing that happens is your brain stops arguing with you about it. And instead, it starts looking for evidence to believe that it's true. And I heard this in one of the books that I read recently, that he talked about choosing your beliefs on purpose. So he said things like saying who you say you are. For instance, I say, I am a great learner, because I ended up going to an alternative high school to graduate from high school because I was having a hard time in the life that I was in, and I needed some extra help. I didn't graduate from a normal high school. I didn't graduate from college. I felt like I didn't have value in the world. And I even had people that would say some pretty terrible things about me or to me that made me consistently believe that they were right. I was just stupid. And as I got older, I started to realize that I didn't need a degree to prove who I say I am, and that I'm actually pretty stinking smart. I read a lot of books. I love information, and I can recall information really quickly, which is fantastic and makes me a better leader and a better teacher. And I tell stories, and these are all fantastic qualities that I have. And I needed to recognize that I am good, and then remind myself that I am a great learner. Things that you could say to yourself are things like, I finish what I start. I keep my promises. I can learn anything. Discipline is who I am, or maybe this resonates. I respond instead of react. Programming your brain is as simple as repeating something over and over again until you finally accept it and believe it. As a matter of fact, if you come to my house in my bathroom, I will always have something on my mirror that I am trying to program into myself and help myself to remember that this is true and that this is good and that we believe this. And here's the thing. It's not about positive thinking. We're not just trying to come up with some fluff and, live in a utopia of everything is always good. It's not about pretending that life is easy. It's about intentionally training your brain towards truth, because thoughts are going to become words that come out of your mouth, and your words, they will become actions, and your actions, those become your habits. Eventually your habits become your character, and your character, that becomes your life. So here's my challenge for you today. Write one belief that the future version of you already believes. Put it somewhere that you will see it every day, on your mirror, in your car, on your computer screen, wherever you're going to look every single day, and read it. Read it out loud, read it in your head, leave it there for 30 days. And then watch how your brain starts looking for evidence to believe that that's true. Because the person that you are becoming starts with the thoughts that you're choosing right now, today. Remember this, you don't become different overnight. You become different through one thought, one choice, and one habit at a time. So give yourself grace. Remember, your perspective is what you need to change. And once you do that, just like that man with the car, you will never stop improving.